Okay, team, take a deep breath. I know this has been a ton of info so far. Last step here is to go ahead and build out the footer for our clone of the Abercrombie and Fitch site called Divi Engine and Fitch. Now, if we're in the back end of our site again, we're going to head back to Divi Theme Builder, and we're going to add a global footer right here. We're going to say build global footer, and that'll fire up, and we have our section ready to go. And what we're going to do is we're going to add a new row, and we're going to do the quarter half layout, which is this one. So we'll click that, and we need to change a few settings before we start adding modules. So let's go ahead and open the section settings, and we're going to go right into the background color. Now let's look at the Abercrombie and Fitch footer. It's got this tan color at the bottom, then it's got a bunch of its brands, it's got a bunch of useful links, and we're going to do exactly that. And then it's got this subscription form with their social media links, and then a bottom footer, I guess, and we'll add that in as well. So let's go to the theme builder, and let's start with that background color. So open that up and add a background color, and we have our tan saved as we did in the first installment of this tutorial series. Let's just match those up. They look pretty good, and go ahead and say that's cool. And then we're just going to also change one more thing. That padding is a little bit much on the bottom. We want to just adjust that spacing to be 0. You'll see why in a bit as we go through this, because we're going to add another row a little bit later. We just want things to be spaced appropriately. So let's go to the row settings. We're going to head to design, and we're going to again play around with the sizing. We want all the columns to be equal height. We want the width to be 90%. We want things wide, but not all the way to the edge. And then we want the max width to be the width of the screen. So this combined with that is going to make it 90% of this is the maximum width it can be. So that's cool. So that's our settings for this module, this row. So first module we'll add, I have module on the brain. We're going to add an image module. And we want, let's take a look here. They've got the Abercrombie and Fitch logo there. So we'll do the same, Divi Engine and Fitch. So we're going to delete this out actually, and we're going to use that data element again. We're going to use the site logo. There it goes. That's a little bit large for our taste, I think. So we'll go to the design section. Can't really do much over here. Let's just double check. No, actually we can. Sizing, we're going to say the max width for this image is going to be 175 pixels. Boom. That looks a lot more in line with what they have on the Abercrombie and Fitch site. And then what we're going to do next, that's it for that. We're going to add a module below it. We're going to add the divider module. And that looks okay, but we need to make some adjustments here. So let's go ahead to the design section. Go to line. The line color is not great. We're going to add one with the color CCC, which is kind of like a gray color. That's subtle enough to still show on the page. Close that out. We're going to go spacing. We don't want it to have top margin. So we'll put 0. No top padding. We'll put 0. And that's actually, oh, you know what? I'm putting in the wrong info here. Let's take that out. And then come back to our text module. We'll go into the settings, or the image module. I'm going to go to spacing, and padding bottom should be 0. And margin bottom should be 0. And there we go. That goes to be nice underneath our image right here. Go back here. That's the same effect that they have achieved on that side. Great. Now we're going to go ahead and add all of these different brands that they have on the Abercrombie and Fitch site. But first we put the heading for brands. So let's go ahead and add a text module. Get in there. And I'm going to say our brands. So you can go ahead and list all of your brands over there. For this, we'll go to design. And we want to use text in the light font because that's kind of like what they did on their end of the spectrum. And we will slightly bump the size of the text to be 16. And that is working nicely for me. And let's take a look between the two. That is working. This divider has a lot of bottom padding, it seems like. So let's just go into the spacing and see what that does. Oh, it's not padding, it's probably margin. Make that a 0. There we go. That looks better. Okay, so let's go ahead and add another text model because now we're actually going to get into doing the brands. So let's add text module in here. Type in text. Go there. And now, you're going to have to type in this stuff manually. We'll just say brand 1. And then we'll bold that up. That looks pretty decent. And let's see, what else will we do? We can change the font for each brand. Maybe we'll say this one's going to be Abril. And let's just see what they did over here. Yeah, so it looks like we need to change the padding that's right here underneath this. So let's just save that. Oh, it's actually margin, I think we have established by this point. Margin bottom, 0, and then it bumps right up to be nice and cozy underneath there. And then it's easy from here. We just copy this. Oh, no, actually we won't. I'll tell you why. That padding bottom, or the margin, is just nasty. So let's get that out of there. Spacing, delete that margin, and then we'll try that again. This is how it goes, guys. You're going to try stuff. You're going to redo stuff 10, 15, 13 times, who knows. But you'll get there eventually as you go through this. So I'm just going to do, of course, brand 2. And, I'm not really thinking about what fonts I'm using yet. I'm just putting stuff in to make them look a little bit differently. But you will do whatever you feel is best for the image on your site and what you want to do. Maybe you don't want to have this section. Maybe you want something else there. That's fine. Do what works for you. But we'll just continue on through this process of just, creating the brand identity. Maybe you want logos there. It's really up to you how you implement this. This is, mostly for demonstration purposes, to get your juices flowing and figuring out, what might work for you. So there we go. Okay, so we've got 4 brands here now. And now we're going to go over and add the useful links section. That's going to go on the right-hand side. So let's go ahead and actually add another text module. So we're going to go and add text. And we're doing this a lot, eh? Just stick with me. We're almost there. I promise you. We're going to change this to useful links. And I'm going to go to the text mode here. And we want to give this kind of a little bit more of a prominence on the page. So we're going to put this as a H4 tag. And H4. And that closes the tag out. And then we're just going to also, again, put that padding or the margin for the bottom to be 0. So spacing is 0. And then we're going to give it a little bit of top padding to be 10. Let's see if that works. Yeah, that seems fine. And we're going to go close that out. And now we're going to use our brands module, and they are actually going to be our links on the bottom here. So we copy that, and then we paste the module here. And now we'll copy this to be the various links for our page. So we'll say link 1. Oh, well, that's a little out of order now, isn't it? There we go. link 1, we'll have link 2. Actually, even what we can do, we don't need 4 of these here. What am I talking about? Let's just go in here. We go to the visual builder, or the visual text editor. I'm going to copy that. I'm going to hold Shift and Enter. That puts it on the next line. Link 2, Shift Enter, copy paste. Link 3, Shift Enter, Shift V to paste on Mac. Link 4. Now you can go ahead and link these up. You can just go on here, you click the link button, and then you'll put the URL in there. I'm not going to link them up right now, but this is just to show you and give you a concept of how you could add some useful links to the bottom of your page. And you know, we can even take a look on the front end to see if this has done anything. But to do that, of course, we need to go out again and save the changes here, because we added the global footer, and have the page refreshed. Scrolling down, we can now see our global footer right here. It's not looking fantastic yet, but you guys are getting the message about, you know, what you can do with this and how to implement it differently. I actually think I used the wrong color here. Let me inspect this, and you can actually see how I go through doing that. So here we're looking at the desktop footer. Click here, and then here we see it's actually F6. F6 is the background color used. So I'll hop back here. I'm going to edit the footer. And you know, I was thinking things look a little bit off. That's what I get. So edit the section, background, and instead of this code, we go F6, F6, F6. That's our off-white color for reference. And that actually looks a lot better to me. It's a little more subtle and not too much in your face. So now we've got all this fun stuff going on over here. We're gonna want to add, you know, some different text. Like I said, you can use the useful links section for that. And you know, once you link them up, you might want to go ahead and change the link styles. I'll, as an example, go ahead and add for the URL here, diviengine.com, and I'll show link 1, yada yada. We'll put target as a new window, whatever. Shift Enter to bring that down to the next line. So we've got this. It looks blue. You just go to the Design tab, you go to Text, and then you click this little link icon right here. And now you can go ahead and adjust the link color to be the same as the other ones. That way it doesn't stand out as much. You can make it, of course, any color you want. But this is the style I like to do it with. You still have the reactiveness of it to be a link. So that's good stuff. And just for your reference, if you wanted to do that as you go through this, and once you obviously put a production site together, you don't want to hook all this stuff up. Okay, so let's go on to the next column. We're going to copy useful links yet again, just that text module. We're going to put it here in the last column. We're going to paste it in, but this time we're going to call it subscribe, because we're going to be adding a opt-in module here for I use to subscribe to our newsletter. We've got that there. Right below it, we'll just add the email opt-in module. And it is not the most beautiful looking thing on earth out of the box. So we're going to be changing a lot of stuff here. But first, let's remove some things. Title, we don't want. The button, we're going to have say join, because that's what these guys did here. They've got join right there. My capitalization is a little messed up. So let's just go back and fix that. The body, we don't need. And then it's got all these extra fields. So let's get rid of that. So if you scroll down, go to fields, disable and disable. And lastly, background, we'll delete that color out of there. And now we've got something that, yeah, very loosely resembles this, but we're going to make that look much better here in a second as we go through this process. So we've disabled all the fields, background's gone, and now we're going to quickly change the fields here to just change the margin, and we're going to change the right margin to be 0 pixels, and you'll see in a second why we do that. We don't want rounded corners, so if we scroll down a little bit more, we're going to change this 3 pixel to be 0. And the button, we're going to need to modify a bit. We're going to open that up. Then we'll say custom styles for the button. Our text color will be white. And then the background color will be our dark blue color that we enjoy so much. And we're going to add some padding to the top and bottom padding, maybe 12 pixels. Let's find the padding here. Oh, we don't want an icon to be on there whatsoever. And then here we go. Top and bottom padding, we are going to do 12. Oops, that's 13. And then link those up. That makes it the same height as the actual field right there. And what we're going to do in a second here is we're going to add some code to move this input box for the email next to the join button. So the last thing we need to do though is to just go to the spacing, and we don't want any margin on the bottom, just because we'll be adding some social media icons in a second. And we're going to add some code now. So let's go and add code snippet number 12. If you can believe it or not, this is just going so far with all this fun stuff. And we're going to be adding this in the theme options again. So copy snippet number 12 from the blog post, and you'll see automatically how things change. So back here, I just copied the code, I paste it in, and then we'll save this. And then when I come here, nothing would have happened, but let's save it, refresh the page, and now when we go in, the button should be right next to the input field. And there it is. That looks fantastic. Now I can see here that my input field and my button is a little bit different. So if that happens to you, you need to go back into the settings, design, and when you go to your button, you might have to play with this value a little bit for the padding of the button. So let's maybe make that 10. And there you see with 10, that is equally sized, and that looks much better on the actual site. So now another thing that you're going to need to do, and a step that's not mentioned here in too much detail just yet, is because this is a whole different tutorial that we can do, is email account. So you'll have your said service provider for your email capturing and your content marketing and that type of stuff. So this is where you'll link all that stuff up. It comes with a bunch of different options for you to use. It's up to you which one you choose. And the only caveat with this is, and you'll see this right now, if I go to the front end of the site, it's going to load up, but you'll see that the actual form is not here. And the reason for that is because you need to have that account linked up to be shown here. Luckily, Elegant Themes does a great job of giving us the ability to see what it would look like if that was linked up. But just for your knowledge, you're not going to see it on the front end unless you have one of those options linked up. Okay? So, guys, are you ready? We are on to the second to last step. Let's go and add the social media follow module. There we go. We've got a bunch of icons here right now. What we need to do, and what you would do realistically, is well, actually, let's delete everything. Well, these ones out. Let's go into Facebook, and we're going to be changing the actual icon color to be our blue. We're going to change the background color to be nothing. And then we just left with this one. If we look at Abercrombie and Fitch, it's kind of like what they did. Coming back here. And of course, what you would also do is you would link it up to your actual website, social media setup. But for this right now, this is how we're going to do it. We'd go back here, and then what you would ideally do, you would add in all your different icons. So maybe for this one, we'll say that it's Twitter. Go back. For this one, we'll say it's Insta. We'll go back. This one will be, let's go old school, MySpace. And then for the last one, we'll go ahead and we'll say, well, check out our YouTube. But the icons on center, they don't look that great just yet. But I'm going to show you how to go ahead and do that relatively easy. The only thing we need to do here is go to the Advanced tab. And then we'll go ahead and copy snippet number 13. So what we're going to do is we're going to copy this code into each icon or into each of the social media networks. Custom CSS, we'll paste it here. And then we'll go back, second one, go to custom CSS, put that in there, go back, next one. Advanced custom CSS, put that in there, back, MySpace for the win, put that in there, and then the last one, YouTube, advanced custom CSS, and paste that in there. And there you go. Now you see these icons all kind of spaced out evenly. Okay, so the last thing to do here to line these up perfectly is just go to Design, Alignment, and center them. And there we go. We are just about there with this. Last thing is just add this bottom bar. So let's go back here. And then all we need to do here is add a single column row, like so. And then we will put a divider in there. And this divider we are going to have to put at, we'll put the line color to be our off gray. Oh, not the off gray, sorry. The CCC color, that grayish color. And then we want to make sure that it goes full width. And the way we do that is we go into this new row that we created, Design, Sizing. We don't need to mess with the column heights. We're going to go 90% as we have before. And then just expand this. And then you'll see that it covers the entire span here. And then that'll be all set. Next up, we need to just add a text module. Oof. Oh. Sometimes if you get into the situation where Divi doesn't let you click on the thing you want to, all you need to do is expand this on the bottom, go to module view, and then you can just type in text right there. And then from here, you can just go back to the full view, and then you can start adding stuff. Now, we added things to our bottom bar here like privacy. Oh, that's not very good. Writing, privacy, and then we add the pipe, which is just next to your enter key usually. We'll say sell terms, another pipe, and then we'll say return policy. And you know, this is just another good spot for you to add any like useful links for your site. Now, a sitemap, of course, is good for search engines to index your site. And we'll go to design, and they used kind of a light, smaller text here. So what we'll do is we'll say text, we'll use the light version, and the font size I think I'm okay with. All we need to do though, still here, so there's a lot of space up here. This divider probably has either some padding or margin. Yeah, it was some margin. You can just save that, and then that has your links right down here. Now, similar to our useful links up here, you could potentially go ahead and add the links to all of these. We're going to cover the privacy policy later in the series, probably in the bonus section, but it's good to know that this is a spot where you can list all that fun stuff. So go ahead and save that. And you'll see that, you know, it is very reminiscent of what we created here. on the actual Abercrombie and Fitch site. We'll refresh this. We'll scroll down, and as mentioned before, the actual opt-in form won't show unless you have one of those email service providers attached. But we've got our social media links right here. And yeah, man. So this is our footer for the site. We're going to be covering a lot more stuff coming up, but this is it for this installment of how to clone any online store with Divi and WooCommerce, brought to you by the Divi Engine team. And we're super excited to keep delving into this with you. Thank you so much for watching. Stick with us. I know this was a lot of information. We'll see what we can do about bringing these endurances of these a little bit down so that they're a little bit more digestible for you guys. But definitely let us know what you think, and definitely subscribe to the channel to make sure you don't miss anything in the coming sections. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I'll catch you guys in part 3 coming up next week.